Hello everyone. In this video, I will show you how you can host your Angular application on Microsoft's platform Azure. Now in this video, you are not only hosting your application to the Azure, but I'll also show you how you can set the CI and CD thing using Azure DevOps. So for the demo purpose, I have created a new application using Angular CLI, and you all might be probably aware if you are creating a new application using Angular CLI, this will be your home screen. Now I want to host this application on my Azure platform. To do so, I have already logged in to portal.azure.com, and first we need to create a resources. So here we will be navigating to this app service, and inside this app service we will create first service. So here we press this add new service and it will redirect us to create a web app. Already there is an option of subscription. By default I have selected my subscription. Then it will ask you for the resource group. Now what is resource group? Say for example, you are managing n clients. So you need to group resources for the clients. Resource group will help you in grouping the resources for the number of client. So here I'll create the resource group first. Now here I'll say this resource group is for Jinal Shah. So it will create a resource group with the name of Jinal Shah, and then I can add all the resources which I want to add for the group Jinal Shah. Make sense? Now as the next step, it will ask me for the name of my application, that is web app name. Now this name would act as a subdomain, or you can say if I write over here Angular deploy, and it will check whether it is available or not. So again this name is already in used, so we can say Angular deploy demo. Then the whole URL would be Angular deploy demo.azurewebsites.net. Make sense? Now then again it will ask you for a runtime stack. So here I'll be selecting ASP.NET version 4.7, operating system to Windows, and then it will ask you to select the region. Now this region on Azure platform, there are various data centers in various regions. So probably you might be want to select the region which is nearest to you. So in my case, I am from India, so I'm selecting it to Indian region. But before selecting the region, I would like to show you the plan that are available with the Azure platform. So now if you can click on this SKU and size, you can see different options available on Azure platform. So now you can select the plan as per your requirement. This is the main difference between the again the different hosting provider and between the cloud platforms. You can only pay whatever you are using. Now say for example, I want to host my application with free hosting or with a shared kind of hosting. Then I navigate to this developer or test option. Here you can see there is an option shared infrastructure, 1 GB of memory, 60 minutes a day compute, and it's a free plan. So I'll select it shared infrastructure as my plan, and I'll press this apply. So here you can see it has changed my plan to free tier, right? Now I'll also select my region or the data center which is nearest to you, right? So I'll be selecting a data center nearest to me, which is Central India. All right, and I selected the plan which is standard S1. Again, as per requirement, you can select a developer option, production option, or the isolated option. There are different plans. So here I'll be selecting this F1, which is a free plan. If later on, if you will require, you can select any plans. All right. So now if I navigate to that and I'll press review and create to create my first app resource. It will take few minutes to deploy my server and then it will create it on Azure platform. I will be back when it is done. Alright, so it has deployed our first service. So now to see that, I'll navigate to this all resource group or all resources, and there we can see it has created our first resource. Now if we click on this Angular deploy demo, we can see the resources it has allocated to my first service. Now it has already created a URL which is angular deploy demo.azurewebsites.net, and now if I press on this, you can see it will show us by default home page of Azure. This is how you can host your application on Azure platform. But now as a next step, what we want to do is we want to publish our Angular application to this Azure platform. And not only just we want to publish it, but we want to set continuous integration with GitHub or any source control that you want to use. So as a next step, what we will do, we will set Azure DevOps and pipelines to perform that CI and CD. So now as a next step, to set up that continuous integration thing, I have already logged into my Azure DevOps account, and first we need to create a project. So here I'll name the project and I'll name it to Angular deploy demo. Then again you have an option whether you want to create that project visibility to public or private. So I'll select the private and I would say create the project. So now when you are creating the project with the DevOps, it will give you several options, like it will give you the dashboard, it will give you the boards, repos, pipelines, test plans and artifacts. Now in this video, we will be focusing on the pipelines to set up that continuous integration. Now this pipeline, by default there isn't any pipeline. So first we are creating a brand new pipeline by pressing that new pipeline. And I'll switch my view to use the classic editor. Now here, first you need to use your source control which we are using. So in my case, I'll be using the GitHub. So I have already pushed my source code of that first basic application to my GitHub account with the name of Angular demo app. So now I can fetch that Angular demo app on this pipeline. For that, we need to allow this authentication. So here I'm be using that OAuth authentication token. You will be required to doing it just one, and then you have to select the repository from your GitHub account. Now on my GitHub, I show you the name. It's Angular demo app. All right. And I'll select that Angular demo app from my GitHub account, and by default it will prompt me to the master branch. In my case, there is only one branch. I already told you it's just a demo application. So I'll select this to master branch and then I'll press continue. Now it will ask us for create a job or agent. So by default, DevOps will offer you some inbuilt templates to do certain jobs. You can select it from the list, or you can create your custom agent. So here I'll select start with an empty job. Now you need to set this agent steps. So here I'll name it to Angular deploy demo continuous integration, and then I'll press a task button, add task to that my agent. And first I'll be installing that Node.js tool installer. All right, and then I'll set the display name to Node, and again you can specify which version of Node.js you want to use. You can also select this checkbox if you want to use the latest version. In my case, I will be using a version 10.x. Now I'll be adding one more task to my agent. So I'll press this add task button, and here I'll be using that Node package manager, and inside that Node package manager I'll now change it a display name to Angular CLI. Because this command will install the CLI, I'll just give it the user friendly name, and I'll change it to Angular CLI. Then again from this command prompt I'll be changing it to custom. Leave that working folder contains package.json to empty, and over here write your command to install that Angular CLI. Remember, while you have installed that Angular CLI, your command would be npm install at Angular CLI, and -g stands for global. Now in this step we do not need to write that npm, just install at Angular CLI -g will do the job for us. All right, so now as a third step I'll be going and adding one more Node package manager, and I'll be using it to install all the dependencies of my package.json. So over here this npm install, again I will keep this npm install. Now this is the install step, so I'm not changing it to command, and I leave it as it is. Now I'm adding one more task, and this task I will be adding the production build. So to create the production build, again I'll be using that npm node package manager, and I'll change it to you can say production build. So here I'll say production build. It's just a display name. Again I'll change the command to custom, and now you want to run that command, and the command is npm, or you can say ng build -- production. So here I'll say npm. Remember I told you, you do not need to write npm, just write the command. So here I'll be saying run and the build command. This build or this command will create a production build. All right, now as a third step I need to connect this DevOps or this build to my Angular, or you can say to my Azure service. Remember, which we have created on portal.azure.com. All right. So as a last step, I'll be adding one more agent, and here I will add the Azure Web Service, Web App Service. So here I'll search for Azure Web App Service. All right, and then I'll add it to my task. So I'll search for Azure App Service deploy, and I'll connect this to host my distribution folder. Whenever you create a production build or a build, Angular CLI will create a dist folder or a bundle that you can host to your Azure portal. So what I'm doing over here is I'll just change a display name, and I'll name it to Angular Demo App, or you can say Angular Deploy Demo. All right. and then I'll leave this connection type to as it is Azure Resource Manager. Now here you will need to select your Azure subscription. So in my case, I'll be using that Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, and then here you need to press this authorize to make Azure DevOps to authorize to your subscription. So here I'll be logging it to my account, which is Jinal Shah, and again it will prompt me for the password, and I'm signing into my account to authorize this Visual DevOps. Alright, now again, in order to continue with this pipeline or this task, we need to link this pipeline or this service, Azure App Service Deploy, to the service which we have created on our Azure portal. Making sense? So now as a third step, I'll be using that app service name, and this is Angular Deploy Demo. This is the name which we have set on our Azure portal. Alright, over here, if I navigate to this Azure portal, you can see the app service name is Angular Deploy Demo. So we will link that with our Azure pipeline. So over here, I have set it to this. Alright, now as a last step, what we need to do is, as you might probably aware that when you create the production build, Angular CLI will create a distribution folder. So we need to host only that distribution folder on our server. Alright, so over here I'll say dist directory, and inside that dist directory it will create a new folder which is the name of your application. So in my case, the name of the application is Angular Demo App. So what I'll do over here, I'll navigate to this DevOps agent and I'll say Angular Demo App. Alright, and I want to host the bundle which is inside a distribution folder and inside Angular Demo application. Making sense? Alright, then we are all done to create our first agent. But remember, we want to set the trigger and we want to enable continuous integration. So now after setting out our task agent job, I'll navigate to this triggers, and from that trigger you can select continuous integration and select this enable continuous integration. Now that will ask for the master branch. So by default, as I said, I have only created one branch, and that is a master branch. Now press save and queue, and that will also ask you for the command. So you can say just or you can say Angular deployment. Alright, and you can say save and run. So now what it will do, it will perform the task one by one which we have created for our first ever agent. So it will be taking some time when our agent is ready, and then it will perform the task. So first our task was like installing the Node.js. It will install the version which is the 10.x. Then it will also install the Angular CLI. After that, installing the Angular CLI, it will perform the task of npm install all the dependencies of my package.json. After that, it will go and create my production build, and then finally it will host my application on that Azure App Service which we have created on the Azure portal. I will be back when all the tasks of my agent will be finished. So yes, now it has performed all the tasks of our agent, and you can see all the tasks got succeeded, And now if we can navigate to the browser and open our Angular deploy demo.azure.websites, you can see your application is live on that server. All right. And not only you have hosted your application, but now let me just navigate to my source code and let me just change something on my app component.html, and let's say welcome to your first CI CD Angular project. All right. And now I've changed something on my source code so that I need to commit the changes to my GitHub. So over here I'll be changing all the commits to my GitHub server. So I'll be saying it as an initial commit. So initial commit, and I'll be pushing all the changes to my master branch. And remember, as I told you, we have said that continuous integration. So whatever we push to our master branch, Angular DevOps and that pipeline will do all the tasks again for us automatically. We do not need to do anything, and the update will be live on our server. So if we can navigate to this pipeline and we can check, see, your next build is already on that pipeline, and now it is doing the same thing. All right, the same thing again for us, and it is creating, or this pipeline is already running. We'll wait it for finish. After it, if it got deployed or if got finished, we will see whether the new changes will be there on our server or not. I will be back when this build or this task of the agent will be finished. So yes, now you can see our commit, which we have pushed our code to GitHub, and the task or the agent has completed its job. So now if we can navigate to this URL, and if we refresh the page, the new changes should be there, right? So yes, new changes would be welcome to your first CI CD Angular demo application. This is it. What you have done in this entire video, first you have hosted your application on the Azure.portal or portal.azure server. Then you have created a pipeline using Visual DevOps. Thank you for watching the video.